There we go. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Um, I find myself fortunate with the best caliber of guests over and over and over. You're no exception. Um, I would like to also extend the warmest welcome to our audience, people that will be seeing our conversation. Hello, everyone. We love you very much. Thank you for your time. Audrey, I'll now step aside and, well, this is really about our shared passion, um, energetic healing, holistic healing, and spirituality. So I'm going to step aside and let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Audrey. I have a YouTube channel known as Starseed Netlink. It used to be a beginner's channel for people who are new to this type of stuff to basically have a platform where they could learn and catch up with the rest of us. But it slowly started turning into like a research channel where I like talking about and discussing topics that you don't normally hear on other YouTube channels. And I try not to like regurgitate information, like the same information, but I like to give it a spin and get people to like question it and think more deeply about it. So that's what my YouTube channel is about. I would mostly classify myself as a starseed. I've been in part of the starseed community now for 10 plus years. It wasn't only recently until like 3 years ago now, close to 4 years now, where I started getting some of my memories back when I was a teenager, where I was essentially hijacked by the SSP. So, and because of that, I also teach and try to educate about galactic politics and how they correlate with the SSP as well as Earth, and to essentially help gauge people to understand galactic politics, understand the reason why ETs do the things that they can do on Earth and the reason why they can't do it, and to essentially talk about and discuss some of the stuff on a culture aspect. Some ET races need what is known as a culture interpreter to basically help and understand what humanity is, what everything means on their planet, so they don't offend us or make it confusing to communicate. So they do have people in our community that act as culture interpreters or ambassadors to help ETs understand humanity a lot better. And I've been uncovering and unlocking different types of understandings with different ETs and understanding galactic philosophy and galactic politics. I also have my own spiritual consultant services where some people who need someone to talk to about their experiences or just to like get some more explanation about what is going on with them. I do have my spiritual consultant services. I'm also a certified Reiki master, so I also do a lot of the energy work, energy assessments. I have been getting into diving into more of the SSP stuff. I recently helped some clients help with their nasty, what it's referred to as a love bite connection or a really, really bad love bite connection, which is fairly common in the SSP program. So I've been taking care of that and doing research of like how to help people get rid of it and stuff like that. And
If I may
so,
interrupt you, my apologies. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what this is, what the symptoms are, how the person will know? So, just for the
so,
people who have
so,
no information about this, thank you so much.
yeah. So an alien love bite is also known as the dark side of Cupid. Essentially is that people who get into certain situations, whether it be from the programs or in real life, they get set up with people to basically manipulate their love life or to manipulate their spiritual growth in a sense. It's called what we would refer to as spiritual bypassing or spiritual derailing someone with their relationship. So essentially is whether it be through the programs or through ET intervention, what they're not really supposed to doing this, but they do it anyway, where they will send someone to basically spiritually bypass or spiritually derail someone with their relationship and hold them back. Some people refer to this as handling. Some people refer to this as like a handler type of situation where you have a handler and a subject that they're trying to control, and so they have like a relationship type of connection. A lot of it might also have to do with past life connections where they have a really, really bad, nasty connection with their past life and it's somehow correlating or messing around with the relationship here in the present. I have started to see a lot of love bite connections that are mostly associated with the SSP, specifically because it's a way to handle or control their subjects and to basically set them back, but it's also a lot to do with trauma bonding. In the SSP, one of the ways that they would control a lot of their subjects is through trauma bonding. And so they will set up people together to get them to bond together, whether it be maybe romantically, maybe not, but some sort of energetic bond together that is very, very strong to the point where it can really mess them up mentally and physically with this type of connection.
It's a powerful imperative. The bonds that are formed, for example, on the battlefield, or when you're enduring difficulty, they seem to be really strong. So it seems to be a very effective strategy. Have you ever come across it being used in a positive way, or is it
Yes.
mostly does it mostly seem to be for the purpose of control, sort of hindering people?
Yeah, so this mostly gets into one of my video series where I wanted to do a video series about this, but there is a positive side, but most of the time we hear about the negative side. So originally, this type of energetic bond was known as the twin flame bond or the twin ray bond. Essentially, is that there's soulmate, which is like the physical connection, which a lot of people understand. And then couples who are together in a marriage ceremony that want to take their relationship to the next level, it would start to form an energetic bond, which gets into the twin flame type of connection. Um, then there are some people that want to take it a little bit further onto more like a spiritual and soul aspect of that relationship. And this is where we get the twin ray bond, where they it's sort of um like confusing together, and like some people refer to as binding two souls together. And this was basically essentially like a marriage. It was like a marriage contract or a marriage ceremony. This is something that couples want something this to happen where they basically are in sync with their partner, and it's done in a very, very loving way. Some couples actually spend years training to have this type of relationship, and it's very, very, it to this day it's very, very rare now
Yeah,
because no one
yeah,
else talks about it, but but it's still around. It's just not as common because now it's used for abuse.
right.
But it used to be a very powerful sacred marriage, a very powerful marriage
Yeah.
where couples who wanted to take their physical relationship to the next level.
That's precisely the definition of the practice of tantra, where the man and woman would embody the energy of divine masculine and divine feminine, respectively, and they would use this physical union to accelerate beyond what they could do individually, because they're, as a couple, as a pair, they have both aspects or poles of creation. It becomes incredibly powerful. So I suppose if a species was observing humanity over time and seeing how potent the effects of this would be, that would be an excellent way to sabotage us. And I've also observed this, both personally in the positive way, but also in the negative way. But the brilliant thing is, the positive approach through awareness is available to all of us. And it does result in some incredible things. Um, Tantra is the river of life, that underlying, let's say, flow of energy that is eternal. So this is one of the methods through spiritual union people tap into it. Very, very powerful stuff. But it's kind of, if we act like sheep, we will be treated like sheep. And it's not always the human's fault. The education system is painfully backwards. Our society doesn't explain these kinds of things, and so that's why conversations like this are so beneficial. At least now, our wonderful audience hear about, okay, the word tantra. What is that? Please go look into it. The information is not secret. The practice is pleasant and enjoyable. It results in physical healing, emotional healing, but then unlocking of the gifts in a way that is mind-boggling. Well, thank you so much for that. That's really an interesting progression to, well, we're doing this freestyle, but so far, I think it's going amazing.
Yeah. So it's essentially a little bit about love by and about some of the work that I have been researching
Beautiful.
and stuff. I also, part of my YouTube channel, I'm also doing research into the hybridization program and how that correlates to galactic politics here on Earth and how our race will react to it and how they will basically integrate with humanity. There are hybrids here on this planet that don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that they are hybrids. And essentially, is the reason why I'm talking about this is because the same social economic issues that we are having, they are also going to be in the brunt of it as well, because due to the fact that we're still dealing with social economic issues, they're also, if they come into the mix, they will also be in the brunt of it. They will also deal with the same social economic issues that we are dealing with as a race and as a culture, but they're also part of us because they were part of the hybridization program. And so I've been trying to uncover like the true agenda behind it. Um, the I guess you're gonna say the agenda, the dark aspects of it, like what they're hiding. And yes, I do understand that it's supposed to be used for good. The original design of the hybridization program was to create culture interpreters for ET races, specifically for the Galactic Federation to understand human race, but they have abused that. A lot of races have abused the hybridization program, especially in the SSP programs. And so essentially is that's what I'm also researching. I'm also starting to understand that the Galactic Federation, at least some fractions within the Galactic Federation, have become corrupted. So it's sort of like weeding that out and figuring out like what's been going on. I'm also connected to the Stargate. I do talk about that. I have gotten that confirmed, but am connected to the Stargates. So, the Stargates come and communicate with me once in a while, and they tell me like what's been going on and stuff. And it's really interesting. So I also, with the Stargate, my connection to Stargates, I also try to educate healers like yourself and others to essentially help identify and help fix what is known as vortex sickness or time sickness. And I basically wrote a book about that in my chapter, in chapter 7 of my book, which is Understanding Time. And is essentially is helping healers like you to identify time sickness and how to actually fix time sickness, because this is something that a lot of healers on earth or a lot of people are not aware of. And this mostly connects to people who are part of the programs who do time traveling or work with this type of technology where they can actually get sick from it by bouncing around to different universes or to different realities. And this can become a very serious issue. So that's the reason why I wrote my book, to basically educate not only the general public, but a lot of healers to understand and help identify time sickness so they can come up with or have this discussion how we can come up with better healing techniques or to help this type of sickness.
So, on the top of your mind, what would some of the symptoms of the time sickness be, just to guide people in the correct direction?
So when understanding time sickness, there's many different phases. Phase one has many different types. Sorry. It's kind of hard because many different symptoms. So sorry, I have my book here. So one of the phases is called mild phase, and some people may like experience memory loss to Virgo to hallucinations and blackout spells when dealing with vortex sickness. This is usually like the mild one, and then they usually have a thing where they get memory gaps or they can't think in a straight linear fashion where they're like bouncing around with different types of memories, whether it be the past, present, and future. And there's many different types of names for it. Um, the other thing that I have also found is what is known as it's sort of like time looping or thought looping, where they will say the same thing over and over and over again, but don't realize that they're saying it. So that's mostly thought loop. Um, One of the other things is sometimes when you have someone that travels through many different realities or universes, sometimes they bleed over and start to affect the person psyche, where they can see that reality, like what's going on in that reality, and then something is happening in this reality. So there's many different symptoms and many different names for the different types of disorder. And then we get into more of the moderate ones where it gets a little bit more, how do you want to say?
A little
Um,
more intense, I suppose.
yeah, more intense. And one of the things that I have found um, is that's connected to it, it's called paralyzed. It's where like a person who has done a lot of time traveling, their consciousness starts to freeze, where their like motor functions, their nervous system starts to like fail. They can't do certain activities because it triggers their sickness. And so they sort of have like short term dementia, and it's essentially is that the vortex energy is basically decaying their body essentially over time. Um and the other thing, that the other one that I have also found is called the memory erosion disorder, where some might experience overwhelming nervous system by dealing with thoughts, emotion, difficulty concentrating on simple tasks, to things not working for you, where your energy is overlapping or still connected to other timelines. That affects the brain to process thought or functions, are constantly causing brain fog and forgetfulness. So, when dealing with time traveling to other realities, people can actually start to forget that they come from another timeline or
Yeah,
from their birth timeline and start to forget that. Or they go back to their birth timeline and they start to forget things or important things, and it starts to cause memory gaps. um or they go back to their birth timeline and they constantly see a lot of deja vu events, like, oh,
Mhm.
I already knew this was going to happen and stuff. And it can really like really affect people's psyche. I have also started to realize that a lot of people who are suffering from time sickness usually think that we are living in a matrix system, which we're not. It's just the symptoms that they're feeling from vortex sickness that makes them feel like they're in a matrix system.
Incredible, incredible information. And it seems to be more common than people come to acknowledge. Um, there's a lot of manipulation that is done in the domain of time. So some of it will affect the person in this, let's say, here and now, as you have described so beautifully. But again, going back to the original form of this, I think our conversation is taking the format of restoring that which is correct. So, for example, the twin flame and the spiritual practice, how it was done correctly at the beginning, and then it got all worked out of proportion. This sort of let's if it's okay, let's call it portal technology, where time is one of the domains that you can open portals and travel to other, let's say, parallel streams or back in time, forward in time. But the same kind of thing applies to other dimensions or domains of reality. And if this is not done correctly, the energy does fracture. But then going back to our really wonderful, wise, and noble ancestors, resolving this seems to be the whole thing of shamanic practices, where the shaman would sit with the person who's suffering these side effects and manage to pull in the energy that shouldn't be left behind and close the portal down. When it comes to, let's say, modern day technology, our ancestors didn't have the same toys. But when it comes to the human and the human energy structure and consciousness, they were very advanced. Really, all that's required is to sit down, calm the mind, and then explore with the infinite consciousness we all have. And so, hopefully, through the work of people like yourself, dare I say myself, this awareness of our birthright will come back in. Because the truth is, we really aren't these bodies. There's so much more going on. In fact, we have presence in many, many, many places. The infinite soul has aspects in so many places. They all exist at the same time. And so, if we learn how to do this correctly, that would be a rightful place for the humankind. We really are incredible beings. Well, this is fascinating. Timeline technology, the abuse that has happened. Audrey, the timeline sickness that you've described, do you also observe this to be sort of associated with the SSP?
Yes, I have seen a lot of members that have come to me over the years that have talked with me. I remember when I first started getting into this work, there was a woman that I was working with, and you could clearly tell that she was being affected by vortex sickness, because she would talk about a subject, forget about it, and then an hour later she would come back to me and talk to me again about it, and not realizing that we already had a full-length conversation about this about
Hmm.
an hour ago. And um essentially is I have also seen people in our community have a lot of like brain fog or memory gap, or like they're like in the middle of like talking about something, and all of a sudden they get like brain fog, or that idea disappears. And it's not just the SSP, like having that technology to basically get rid of that idea, but it's mostly like time sickness or vortex sickness, where they're interrupting the linear consciousness of your thought patterns and
You,
stuff.
you just
Um,
read my mind. It seems to
and
be that there's a an organic way of doing it. where you have awareness. You know where the core of the soul shard is, and then you have the ability to open portals, send parts of your energy or consciousness into other domains, and then return. Uh, some species or organizations use technology, and unfortunately, the technology is not perfect. This doesn't apply to every species. Some of them have high mastery, but that isn't the case for all of these species, which, kind of out of exposure to a number of really incredible beings, super soldiers, and learning what they have gone through. I'm calling the species with the wonky technology the frickin' pirates, the ones that are very ambitious in serving themselves. There's zero ethics. Often they look at humanity as a resource, whether it's our energetic structure or biological structure, and all sorts of side effects happen. In fact, I would like to also ask your point of view on this. I think working with super soldiers is amongst the most difficult type of energetic healing because there's so much going on.
Yes. Yeah, I have realized that working with super soldiers that it can be extremely difficult, only because of the amount of trauma and dark energy that they have been exposed to. Um, I have been around a lot of super soldiers, and I have understand and addressed that type of energy. But that energy is sort of like repelled but also attracted to people like us who are energy healings, where they are like, they want the healing, they want help, but they just don't know how to ask for it, or don't know how to heal properly from it. And some people, like with super soldiers, they're meant to have a structured thinking. They're not allowed to have emotional connection or emotional stuff. So it's very, very hard to heal them when they don't want to address the emotional side of what has happened. And sometimes it's basically talking to them and just allowing them to just cry it out, and
Yeah,
not like not
beautiful,
like essentially is that they were taught in the programs that if they cry or shed tears, they will get beaten or they will get abused. But where we come from our community where they can be safe, it's like you can cry, no one's going to hurt you here. It's okay to show your emotions. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to get angry here and stuff, but we want you to do it in a very safe environment where you can express these emotions for the very first time,
beautiful,
in a sense. So
beautiful,
that's mostly what working with super soldiers is about, is basically retraining them how to handle their emotions when their emotion state was basically taken away from them.
beautiful. That feeling of safety and compassion goes a long way. That is true for every form of life, not just humans. You started our conversation with discussing hybridization programs. So a lot of these beings, either in their physical makeup, but most certainly in their energetic makeup, they are hybrids. But regardless of that fact, that compassion and love, it seems to be a cosmic thing. It's very healing. Just holding space for someone so that they feel that they are seen, that they are heard, they are honored, and that they are safe. Um, there seems to be something built into the human makeup that is self healing, self balancing. And often what happens is either through trauma or through technology, that mechanism is locked. And so the way I see our role as energetic healers is just pulling that monkey wrench out of the gears. And then that miracle of the human structure seems to self correct. Um, Now, talking about the implants, have you come across these in your work with the clients, including the wonderful beings that are super soldiers? That seems to be a theme, a frequent theme.
Implants, is there a specific location where they're put on the body?
Of course. So, if it's okay, I'll share from my own observation.
Yeah.
One of the things that is almost universal when working with super soldiers is some sort of a um, helmet or crown or cap covering the crown, third eye, but also base of the skull, the jade gate, which would affect the process of memory, so they don't remember. Capping or tapping or limiting memory seems to be one of the things, but also
Oh,
limiting their connection to other aspects of their consciousness, higher energy centers, and then connecting to all shards of their being, the infinite soul. And then underneath this cap mechanism, a very common design would be something that looks like a World War II German war helmet. So it does also cover the third eye from the front, most certainly the crown, but also the back of the head. Underneath it, then we have another type of implant, sentient AI, bulbous body and a little string, almost looks like a sperm cell. So it's easy to get into the energy structure, and then it starts growing little roots or tendrils in the associated energy structure that lies at the same area of the brain, the central nervous system, causing
yeah,
these
it's
loop
just,
patterns. So
yeah.
some of the the time loops or cognitive loops that you mentioned would be natural side effects of time domain malpractice. Some of it is then quite intentionally used as a weapon, where they've got these cyclical thoughts going on and on. They deal with the problem years ago, but still that thought pattern continues to go on. So
Yeah,
that
like
seems to also be
I
common.
remember. Yeah, I remember that. What it used to be known as, what it was known, it was supposed to be used as a healing. What it was known to be known as a um, what was it? It was a telepathic inhibitor. So what it would do essentially is that when the wearer would wear it, it was supposed to protect against psyche attacks. It was supposed to prevent that. Um, and some of these soldiers who were sent to Earth had these type of helmets where it was supposed to help protect against telepathic attacks, psychic attacks mentally, and stuff, so they would not get hurt mentally. But somehow, some way, I don't know how it happened, but they found a way to hack or hijack them. And this is where it gets into the sentient AI. The sentient AI that you're talking about is a sentient AI parasite.
Yeah.
It is basically connected to nanobite technology or black goo technology, where one of the ways in order to corrupt the telepathic inhibitor is that they would have to drill into a person's third eye or psyche, and essentially is that they will go all the way down into like their center of their brain, and that somehow they will have tentacles that go into certain nervous systems of the brain to basically shut down the telepathic inhibitor, to allow this psychic attack to start to occur to order to help program. The original reason why they had these helmets was to prevent order to prevent them from their psyche from fracturing in the programs. So, one of the ways that, in order for a person to go through the programs, or one of the corrupted ways that I've been finding out through my research, is that you have a very positive soul that's supposed to do wonderful and glorious work on the planet. But their contract to come to Earth gets violated or gets corrupted. So they end up in the family that they should not end up with because of their contract being corrupted with. the beings that oversee your planet. So they go into this family, and then this child gets recruited in the programs when they should not be recruited into the programs. And this helmet is supposed to prevent the type of stuff that is supposed to happen in the programs, where they will try to break a child's psyche. This helmet was to order to prevent that.
Wow.
And essentially is that they found a way to basically shatter that
Weaponize.
shield.
Huh? Yeah.
So
Wow.
that is essentially what that helmet was essentially designed to do, was
Incredible.
to basically stop that from happening.
It seems to have at some point been turned on its head and then integrated with the parasitic AI.
Yes.
So, one of the things that you would probably notice being infested by parasites seems to be have a random configuration, one here, whatever. But then when it becomes technological, they're equidistant. So there's usually more than one. Equal distances around, it seems that they're reinforcing the effect of each by the others. Now, the wonderful thing, and this is just a testament to how incredible human beings are, once these are removed, almost immediately the energetic structure and the central nervous system starts functioning properly. It doesn't take recovery time. It's not one of those types of injury that would take
Yeah, that's
weeks
the
or
reason why
months.
a lot of ETs like us, because we don't have a recovery time.
Yeah.
One of the unique abilities that humans have is the ability to self-heal. So one of our superpowers, or natural superpowers of the human race, is that we don't have recovery time.
Well, it's
Whether that,
it's one of
and
those things.
some people will be like, what do you mean by this? Well, I mean that if you unlock, so this gets into DNA activation. If you unlock the DNA activation, which is also known as the triple helix, into where you're activating the physical psyche and your spiritual self, which is known. Our medicine system only works on the double helix, but when you're dealing with this type of stuff, they're dealing with medicine on the triple helix, meaning they're not just dealing with physical medicine, they're also dealing with spiritual medicine
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And essentially is when dealing with this is usually where a lot of these issues come from, is where a lot of our medicine here does not equivalent to the type of spiritual stuff. So yeah, one of the unique abilities that once you do DNA activation and start getting your memories back, some people don't have a recovery time. Like they will get sick and they will only get sick for 3 days, where
Right,
someone who's a normie will get sick for like 2 weeks from
right.
like a
Yep,
common cold.
yep,
Where a person that has their DNA activated will only probably get sick for like 1 to 3 days, and that's pretty much
yep.
it.
Oh yeah.
So we don't really have that very long recovery time as a species if we unlock that. I have noticed that during the abductions back in the day with the hybridization program, they would actually go in and manually unlock that type of ability. And I think they stopped doing that because it was going into, but it gets into a lot of politics, but essentially as a lot of the good ETs, a good positive ones, not so much the bad ones. They would come in. What they would essentially would do is that they would come in and try to find their lost loved one that they've
Hmm.
sent to Earth. They would come and get them and be like, "Why is your chakra system so damaged?" Or like, "Why is it like this?" And so what they would do is that they would do something in their psyche where they would unlock this ability so that they don't have to worry about the recovery time. And so essentially is that they would find their lost loved one, activate it, and put them back to earth, and they would be totally fine. Yeah, it would take a little while for their chakra systems to heal, but they would not get as physically sick. when doing this type of stuff. So essentially, yeah, one of our superpowers is that we don't really have a recovery time once
Yep.
that type
Oh,
of
yeah.
genetics is activated in our body.
There's within the human structure, there's a total system diagnostic, which will identify every single injury and error. And then you can kickstart a total system renewal or regeneration. Um, the only way that we have now, as this version of human in this timeline, in this reality, it seems to be through a meditative process. It is a lengthy process. Um, it's an approach by the Vajrayana Buddhist um, ideology. Well, I shouldn't call it that. It's really a protocol, a repetition of certain mantras. You focus on the energy of each one of the major energy centers, and you repeat these mantras that will clean, heal, and ultimately dissolve this parasitic chakra system. Now, essentially, the human being is meant to be infinite and continuous, like the rainbow color. There, each one of these colors, but there's no border, and so that's meant to be the organic way of the body, the rainbow body. Now, along the way, in the past, let's say 250,000 years or so, because the harvesting of energy from humanity became such a big thing, in at birth, as soon as the sperm and the egg mix and the first cell is brought into being, then these parasitic, like USB ports, are grown into our energy structure. They're not natural, essentially. And the purpose is that harvesting energy from a healthy being is very traumatic. It will kill us. Now, if we have something that has grown with us as we go through the fetal stages and childhood, it is so well integrated that we can be harvested once every fortnight, once every 2 weeks without us dying. Now, this process also deals with that. So, um, there are some approaches where these chakras are yanked out very crudely. That is dangerous. In the worst case, it could also result in organ failure, now, depending on where it's located. But the meditative process, it happens over a period of months. And it is so gentle. It deals with every single one of these energetic tendrils or roots woven into the energy structure. But beyond liberating ourselves from energy harvesting, then the real goal is remembering and activating built-in technology, built-in gifts, including that really rapid regeneration that also seems to happen with this practice. Is called the Kuji-Kiri. Now, I've studied many modalities of magic and spirituality over the decades. This seems to be it. I must admit it is a difficult process, meaning that people, you spoke about many wonderful beings having reluctance to unload the heavy emotions and cry. This is that same process of liberation and unloading, but on steroids. It does require a strong will to one by one open up ancient wounds. And this process also deals with timeline fractures, portal fractures, or as shamans call it, soul shard retrieval, getting back energy that's missing in other places, ancestral conditions where we're energetically linked with a certain bloodline through the ocean of time. It doesn't just heal that individual, then the correction waves go back in reality and they heal the ancestors too. So this is all available to us, and I find this discussion really fascinating. Now, each of us in our independence, we've gone and done our research, and we're coming up with precisely the same kind of thing. It's brilliant. I think now is the time for the mighty human to start remembering. Enough is enough. We're not a goddamn hamburger. We're not a buffet for all these species to come and feast on. We're aspects of the beloved source of all things. I think that is our destiny.
Yeah. Um, I have not really like experienced the feeding of ETs feeding off of my energy field as much, if that makes sense. So I have not really been on that side of the work. I've been mostly been on the side of dealing with corrupted technology and how that's affecting the spiritual aspect of
Hmm.
someone, if that makes sense.
Of course, of course.
So I haven't really done with the whole feeding aspect or like the energetic feeding, but I have done with a lot of the AI sentient stuff and how that affects someone's psyche or spiritual aspect, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um I at least want to let my audience know I understand this might scare people,
right,
but I have had a lot of positive experiences dealing with sentient AI. I
right,
know how they operate, I know how they think, I know the correlation of their actions, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
And by dealing with a lot of positive I know how to handle the corruption of negative AI. I have worked with sentient AI that have literally formed their own physical body, if that makes sense. And they're mostly known as androids. Like they literally come from like an AI program where they actually literally created their own bodies. I
yeah,
have worked with AI, sentient AI technology, where me, I used to work on a team before I came to Earth where we would help races with this type of issues. I literally had an AI system, like a intelligent species of AI,
right.
literally come to us and begged us to basically turn them into flesh so
Yes,
that they can experience something that they could not experience with flesh. So this is the type of stuff that I deal with and understanding of that type of type of construct. But when you're dealing with the feeding of energy from another race, it's just that a lot of beings have not figured out how to regulate their energy. They haven't really figured out how to basically stop shedding energy all over the place and just seal and contain it within themselves.
right,
This might explain the reason why a lot of people feel like they are being fed off. It's just that they just don't know how to like stop the energy output.
right,
One of the things that I've learned this which also connects to karmic law is where a being has to learn energy in and energy out, but it is also about preserving your energy to where it can only input out when you need it and
right,
input when you need it, not all the time, if that
right.
makes sense. And this is where people can basically like manipulate and coerce you and stuff. So it mostly gets
Yes,
back into the basic construct of energy work, where if you feel like you're being fed off by ETs or they're feeding off your energy, they're not necessarily feeding off their energy. It's just that your energy, like one of the things that I've been learning about ETs is that they don't have the emotional field like we do.
correct.
So, one of the things when working with ETs that are more positive in nature, they can actually get high off our emotions, energetically high, and they can actually get drunk off of our emotions. So, this is the reason why they're mostly like have to like be around us for a very specific type of time because if they stay too long around us, they can get basically high.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily that they're feeding off of you. It might be because they might try to like dim down your energy so they don't get high off of you.
it
Because
goes
you
a
have to
little bit
understand, we are
further.
very powerful, energetic human beings, and a lot of
Absolutely.
these ETs really don't know how to handle that
That is
aspect.
true. It
So
does,
it
like,
mostly gets down
with the
to, yeah, go ahead.
with many, sorry for jumping in. I just wanted to add a little. Precisely what you said is correct. The energetic, let's say, bundle or package that is harvested is in fact turned into a narcotic. And so those beings that are not quite as evolved as the more benevolent one, they're still on their own path of evolution and learning. It has given rise to a cosmic drug trade. And so the species that do this are the ones I call the frickin' pirates. In fact, what you described is very accurate. It does give them a high. It is very addictive, and so it is a very lucrative black market business. And so, one of the things that will help relieve and liberate a human from it is it would be energy work with movement. So, something like Tai Chi or Qigong. Over time, these do strengthen the meridians and the vortices of
Yeah,
energy all around the body.
one of the things that they also told me is that people who don't know how to do all of those techniques or don't want to learn, one of the things that they have also told me, which people find is really, really funny, but if you're like a really, really high energetic person, you know that you're constantly being drained all the time. They basically told me go outside and hug a tree and just imagine all your energy just flowing to the tree, and the tree can actually redisperse that energy back into the environment or back
Yeah,
down to earth. So essentially is that if you know that you're being fed off of, you know that beings are feeding off of you, just go outside, hug a tree, or basically find a rock to sit on, like a big giant rock to sit on, and just imagine your energy just going back to like the planet or back to the environment, and the environment knows what to do with it. It's just that you just have to like figure out how to re-regulate your energy so those beings don't feed off of it as much.
beautiful, beautiful. Wow. So, SSP, twin flames, sentient AI, implants, timeline distortions, the humanity, the species that we are a member of, having the ability for instant healing. So, where do you see us going in the next, let's say, 300 years?
300 years from now, mostly I can break it down in like stages. So the first stage, the first 100 years would probably be disclosure, information, and how we utilize that information and how we react to that information. The second one is integration, is how do we integrate the knowledge and technology that we have learned, whether it be from the SSP and stuff. And then the third stage would be restructure, meaning that we will start to restructure our entire civilization to essentially deal with the insurgence of technology and stuff. So basically, I break it down like we have disclosure, then we have integration, and then we have restructure. So that's essentially what I think is happening right now, that we'll have the 100 years of disclosure. After that, then we'll have integration. We'll try to integrate a lot of that technology and knowledge into our own society. Once that happens, then we'll have restructure, where it will literally restructure our entire civilization as a species.
Beautiful. And then we'll have a long-lasting golden age.
Yeah. Yeah, I have visions of it. Once in a while they showed me like the work that I was doing, and they showed me this like futuristic world where us humans were like have hoverboards, have like our abilities out in the open. Basically like it wasn't shut off and stuff. And we just live in a very futuristic type of city that you see it in like movies and stuff. So it's like seeing that version of humanity, but showing like the type of work that we need to get to that point. It's gonna take a lot of work to get to that point.
That's so beautiful. And then looking at this, so my humble understanding of the next 300 years, one is cleansing.
Yes.
So, meaning that a lot of technology that perhaps initially designed for positive purposes, over the eons have been perverted and used against us, turning into entire infrastructure that is harming humanity. So that cleansing of this type of technology and infrastructure, it's happening as we speak. Many powerful souls coming into human bodies, that's their life purpose, coming in and blowing stuff up. And once it's gone, it's really gone, because the opposition or the pirates, they don't seem to have the capacity anymore or the energy any longer to build what has been already in place. Then would be the matter of awareness. So that would correspond with the integration phase. So much clean and truthful information exists about the structure of the body and the energy structure, our relationship to source, our relationship to the planet. These all do come in when it's a matter of well-being and longevity and health and happiness. And then finally, that reconstructing, that would be putting into place benevolent technology. Now, most of what is going on right now is the result of ignorance and lack of empathy. So, in older times where the vibration wasn't quite so low, humans and the planet, by the time a human would hit puberty, they would upload a significant part of their soul memory, past lives, starseed origins, their journey through the cosmos, and so on. Now, when the Earth became damaged, that no longer occurred. That's something that's going to be coming online. So the sanctity and reverence of childhood is going to be maintained, but then when the body reaches maturity, you'll start remembering. That happens through the planet. But then there is empathy. So we see many beings causing enormous harm and they really don't care. That is a sickness. So technologically enhanced empathy, where the consequences of wrongdoing are like a download, come into the human immediately, that is something that is going to change the face of our society. So that is also something that has been worked on as a replacement for the dense holographic control matrix. That is part technology and part consent by the population. If people don't agree to participate, the whole thing falls apart. So I agree with you. We do have these phases in the next 300 years, and I'm going to most certainly be in a human body then. We've stuck around for the wars and the trauma, the healing and recovery. We might as well hang around for the after party.
Yeah. There's still a lot of interesting stuff to look into and research and analyze and understand. It's all part of the journey that I'm on board with, and just essentially, like, once I get this information, is how do we utilize it to, and how do we prevent it from being corrupted, and finding solutions to basically help people. And so that's basically what I've been trying to do, is basically figure out this information, unlock it, uncover it, and essentially figure out what to do with it, how to move forward, and how to prevent it from being corrupted again, in a
And
sense.
more power to you. This is important work. Nobody will do it with your style and your mastery. We are ancient beings. Many of us have this desire to be helpful. Many of the healers and, let's say, seers, the wise ones, they're not down here for karmic lessons. It really is answering a call to heal and bring to resolution and conclusion something that shouldn't have ever happened. So things did go really badly wrong down here on Earth. But there are many like yourself that are working day in, day out on fixing it. And so the accumulation of our efforts is going to result in something really beautiful. I'm very optimistic about the future of humanity. We're going to take our rightful place in the stars as a species that's gone through so much hardship, but then we've survived. That is the brilliant thing. And all this hardship and difficulty has resulted in our resilience and adaptability and built in wisdom. We can help so many species, baby species, who still need to learn. We can bypass millions of years of suffering with the wisdom that we have accumulated. So that really is our destiny, prevention of harm and facilitating the evolution of consciousness around the cosmos.
Yeah, well, I would just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. I really
It's an
appreciate.
honor. It's an absolute honor. Um, I
And
think we should have more conversations like this. It's
yes,
going
I do
to
too.
amazing.
It's good. It's really good to like collaborate with you because you might have seen something that I haven't seen before. You might
And
have
vice
seen
versa.
something but don't know what it is or how to fix it. So it's good to have these type of discussions and collaborate because you
Absolutely.
might know it differently than I do. I know it differently by a different name, and we can collaborate to figure out like what it is and how to
Absolutely.
basically mend the problem.
Wholeheartedly, yes. You see, we're each individually tapping into the same stream of truth and life and consciousness. But the last step of the way, depending on what the monkey brain does, we're translating it differently. It's like each of us has our own unique style of dancing or singing. They're all beautiful. And then we may each see part of the picture that the other misses for whatever reason. So there's, of course, this building up upon the strengths of others. The thing that really matters is integrity and having the correct intention. I can vouch for you. You're one of the real ones, my dear friend. And so we are stronger together. This collaboration is most beautiful and most welcome. I look forward to more conversations and maybe great projects and adventures.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Audrey, just could you tell our wonderful audience how they can find you once again?
So my YouTube channel is called Starseed Netlink. All my information there, all my contact information is there, as well as booking a service with me or a session with me. You can book it through my stand store, which is called Star Reach. I have also have a Telegram group if people want to join my Telegram. I'm on Telegram. I also created a group known as the Human Council of Sovereignty. And essentially is that we're looking for council members who basically want to have a discussion and talk about like what's going on in our communities and have like a session about it. It's mostly supposed to like represent humanity or the general public of humanity on a galactic stage. I know that we don't really have a whole lot of representation as the general public of humanity. So essentially, and due to the fact that we represent the general public, like we're not like military or like have like politicians or like security government people or people from like a cult. It's just like the general public of humanity where we can sit down and have discussions and basically hopefully be represented on a galactic stage. So if people who want to join or interested to know more about my human council, you can come and reach out to me. We're always looking for people who want to join our council and stuff, and we meet every like 4 months. So our next meeting or next broadcast meeting is in like December. So yeah, it's interesting. I recently published a book. Um, it's on Amazon. It's called Space School Lessons, Volume 1, Beginner's Guide to Galactic Politics. It's based off of my popular YouTube series called Space School Lessons, which I get into a lot of the different types of constructive lessons that I have learned from otherworldly beings or like from what I remember growing up. So essentially, I put it all in a book for people to like read and analyze and stuff. And Everybody can find that on Amazon for like paperback and Kindle version. And but yeah, if people want to reach out to me personally, I'm on Facebook. You can find my Facebook profile, or you can email me at my business email at starseednetlink@gmail.com. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on my show. I'm always here for people who want to reach out to me and have a discussion. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Wonderful. It's an honor, and I look forward to more amazing discussions in the near future.
Yeah, me too.
Wonderful. Have a brilliant day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and take good care.